Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the show for leaders who want real results, not more noise. Join Emmanuel Rose as he helps business builders turn AI from a confusing add-on into a practical advantage with clearer messaging, stronger trust, and smarter systems. If you felt a shift happening in real time, you're not imagining it. In the agentic pivot, Emmanuel calls it the move from experimenting with AI to building with it, so it supports your team, your brand, and your growth. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI. I'm Emmanuel Rose. My guest today is RJ Talyor, a product leader with 22 years building software for marketers. He led product teams at ExactTarget and Salesforce and co-founded Pattern 89, which was acquired by Shutterstock, and now runs Backstroke, helping marketers bring creativity into an AI-first workflow. You can find him at backstroke.com, and you can find him on LinkedIn. But let's get started with the biggest practical opportunity that he sees for marketers right now. RJ, thanks for spending some time with me today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, you're engaged in a lot of fun stuff. Tell me what you learned from the e-commerce brands you were talking to last week.
Oh yeah. Well, last week we were in New York for our second annual AI conference. We hosted. It's called Long Axis, and we had over 145 brands join us there. And there is such a hunger for AI, and there's two camps. Literally just two camps of people. One is people who are like full steam ahead and they're way ahead of you or me or everybody. And then there's a bunch of looky-loos and a bunch of marketers who are watching and looking for best practices. They're scared and they're fearful, and they're using all sorts of excuses or reasons internally or externally to justify that. But it's pretty clear that the camps are clear, and we're looking at about an 80-20 sort of unfavorably, where 20% have just shot ahead, and then 80% like they're collecting information, and it's pretty stark difference there.
It seems like the classic marketing curve, though, doesn't it?
It does. The difference here is I feel like there's no time to waste. Like it's like these tools and capabilities are advancing at such a fast pace that if you're not paying attention, you're just going to be left behind in a way that I don't think the world's seen before. So I know I feel like that. I mean, I'm keeping on top of all this stuff on a weekly basis, and it's such a rapid pace. But so yes, it feels like similar waves in the past, but I ran mobile for Salesforce for about 10 years, and I was third in line to get an iPhone in 2007. That's my
Oh wow,
that's my one of my claims to fame.
you have a T-shirt.
Right. But that adoption curve took a longer time, and marketers went from marketing to mobile marketing, and then embracing mobile within their stack. It feels like AI is like almost overnight. So feels like the urgency is really, really high.
Yeah, it is interesting velocity that the technology's on, and then what that velocity allows for people who are kind of riding the lightning to get out in front, right? And I think the fascinating thing is there's, as a brand, a new startup can leapfrog existing, right? Number one. And then also this phenomena of taking a tool like Salesforce and then vibe coding a reasonable MVP in maybe not a weekend, but in a unbelievably rapid amount of time. In a month, you can go from, hey, I'm going to take on Salesforce to I have this MVP that we're using in my company every day now.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of people comment on that. I don't know if I believe that, because if you go down to like trust and security and all the things that your CTO wants and your chief information security officer, my company is SOC 2 certified. So SOC 2 compliant, like those things just aren't going to replace like a financial institution or even a big retailer that has a lot of financial data, or PII isn't going to like, oh, hey, let's swap out Salesforce for this vibe coded thing, especially in like a heightened security world. So,
Sure.
but your point is fair, which is the innovation that's coming is happening so rapidly that these smaller challenger brands who maybe aren't yet subject to all those security protocols or data systems and training, like all that, turning the Titanic type stuff in the enterprise, they are going to present a faster and larger challenge to these brands that has never been seen before powered by AI.
Yeah, and I think the kind of one of the levers is Claude and the suite of Claude products which we have now. For instance, I'm working on a prospecting tool for SMBs where I go and do 14-step review of their digital footprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I built that out over the last week.
Yeah.
And I have a beautiful report that is created and can use as a prospecting tool in what's relatively quick amount of time.
Yeah.
And then be able to then push that into Claude Code and build an internal tool for my team.
Yeah.
Eventually, maybe in the next 3 months, I can push that out and turn that into something that's monetized for other agencies to use. So that sequence of events is pretty amazing. And then of course Claude just added another dimension to their suite of products. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, last week we saw Claude Design come into the fold, and quickly on Twitter and LinkedIn, so many marketers are saying, wait, my designer maybe isn't needed, or the agency that used to do these email designs isn't needed. And again, I don't know that I believe that fully, but what I do see is a challenge to the traditional agency design mindset. So with I believe in creativity. I have a background in I have a master's in fine arts and creative writing. So I believe in the power of human creativity as paramount. Decision making, brand ethos, those types of things, all I think are very, very human. But I'll say that some of the formulaic, templated design approaches that are out there, I mean, you don't need a human to create that, hero in a 4-grid email. You just don't. And because Claude Design can do it beautifully. There's still some rendering challenges that we've seen. So, but you like some of the, it's the difference between true creativity and then best practices. And the things that are best practices or templatized are at high risk to be replaced by tools like Claude Design. And I think that's really exciting, because if the humans who were doing those manual things to assemble things that the machines can do, if that work is now done by AI, by Claude Design or other tools, what is it that humans can do? So there's like kind of this new, I think, energy in differentiating your brand that is a big opportunity for a lot of marketers.
Yeah, and really, what my counseling has been to clients is you find the things that are time sucks or that are not necessarily creative acts or not relationship acts.
Yes.
Right? Those are the two things that the humans need to be focused on. The other things, any SOP you can automate, get after it and do it, right?
Yeah, totally. It's funny. Last week at our AI conference, we had an astrophysicist come and talk to us about their use of AI to explore space. It was mind blowing. I hadn't even thought to think those things,
Yeah.
But he was really cautionary too about the way that these LLMs are built and the levels of transponders that the data goes through, and the whole idea that it's all based on predicting something. So it's not like, whether it's a word or an image or a report or anything, it's still a prediction, and that you can't trust it. And he was pretty heavy on that. You can't trust it. And I'm thinking, well, we're building Backstroke and marketers are building all this cool stuff on top of these tools and these platforms. And like, if you can't trust it, then I don't know, like it was a sort of a scary warning to me. That said, understanding how they're built, then you can say, okay, well, what am I looking for that is the thing that I shouldn't trust, and just in the same way that you have maybe people have said this before about like maybe a more entry level employee. Like you wouldn't have an entry level employee do the work and then ship it to the client. You've got to review it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was he's dealing with like rockets and space and satellites and all sorts of things, and I deal
It's not just a Facebook ad, for God's
right.
sakes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm dealing with like a click on an email, but
Yeah.
those add up, and the trust with our clients is super important too. So
Yeah,
anyway,
I think that's a great point. And the HITL, right? Human in the loop. And I think we cannot let a malaise come over us in our editing and our review processes. Just because even though some of the content that I get out of Claude is like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's I'm really also a big believer in custom GPTs or projects in Claude. So I stack in so much approved content and neuropsychology and all this stuff, right? I think that's really the genius of the LLM, is that we're able to create these creative guardrails and come out with things that are that sound like me, and sometimes are even a little more creative than I would be on that day. Right?
Yes. Yeah. It is what you're describing is like kind of back to the first thing we were just talking about, is like you have a level of experience now in building these capabilities that many marketers are thinking, I'm not even going to delve into that, and just like, math, if you miss your freshman year math class in high school, then when you get to sophomore year, you're like, wait, what are they talking about? And then once you get to calc, you're like, I don't even understand these basic concepts.
I'm transferring into the English department at that point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what I did.
Me too.
But it's like, I think that's where this like separation is happening. It's like the people who are in, and then those who are watching, and that's a little scary.
I think, I agree, and I do think it's interesting. I think that what we saw early on was like a tool adoption race, and people forgot that this is a technology that has to be planned for, and the humans have to be coached into and led into. And that was one of the things I saw early on. I'm like, I didn't want to be that coach, but I saw that there was a dearth of coaches, and so then that's where I'm like, okay, I gotta have to build this 10-step process, and I got to build all the assets, and I got to help lead people through this, because it is a confusing process if you don't take it sequentially, like you just described.
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
Well, that's cool. So you guys, what's your primary offer at Backstroke?
Well, we help marketers with their email marketing programs. So, my background is in email. I started at ExactTarget in 2004, and then we were part of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And through all of now it's 22 years, all in email. And with all these generative tools and predictive tools that are available, we can now generate predictive content. So you can think of it as like personalization with AI scale. So for the longest time, we've talked about sending the right content to the right person
at the right
time.
And
the problem was, how do we have enough content to do it? And if you had 100,000 people on your list, creating 100,000 variations of content was just a no-go, but not anymore. And so it's really fun, because we can predict what people are going to click on, and you'll get kind of the light red shirt, and I'll get the gray hoodie. So, or whatever, is our predicted next thing. So Backstroke generates predictive content.
Help me think through this, because as I'm observing the amount of email and the trashy email that the LLMs have created. I think it's probably like a 10x in the last year of email. So how do you think we're going to be? How receptive are we going to continue to be to email based on this volume? And how are we going to, as the end user, either B2B or B2C space, how are we going to manage this flood that we're dealing with, so that marketers can then get into the right
Yeah.
process, I guess. That's two
Well,
parts.
yeah, on the consumer side, you think about your inbox. I use Gmail, but all the inbox providers have pretty aggressive deliverability standards that are
Yeah.
a combination of technical protocols like DMARC and authentication protocols, but also they're looking at how many emails were sent from a brand's IP address and then how
Yep.
much engagement those emails receive. So they're doing a lot of work for us actually by saying if, let's say, brand X sends 100,000 emails and nobody clicks on it, then probably nobody's interested in that content and they're going to send you to the spam folder.
Right.
So I think, there's sort of two answers to that question, B2B and then B2C. On the B2C side, it feels like the deliverability and engagement metrics that are being used to filter out bad email are helping aggressively to stop that problem. And good, on the up and up marketers feel that pain when when their engagement dips. So that's there. On the B2B side, I don't know. I feel like all of these different email providers and I get a significant amount of spam in my business email address, and whether that's true like phishing or illegal type phishing scams, that's one type. But then there's just a ton of prospecting content out there, and that feels like it's kind of overwhelming. And then the other problem that a lot of our customers are dealing with is SMS and or meeting people on their mobile device, and like that's been such an easy way to drive more revenue, but it's kind of short lived because people have a really low tolerance for SMS spam.
I got a text last night prospecting me on Sunday night, 9 o'clock my time. I was just like, on what planet is that okay?
Yeah, there's so much less tolerance for that. So on the email side, I think it's better. There's still, I think you're right, increase in the content. But on the flip side, there's such an opportunity to stand out. And that's kind of what I mean. Like if you're a marketer who's then automated the creation of kind of your bread and butter campaigns, how can you be creative and differentiated and speak to the consumer in a different way? Like that's what we're seeing our customers do. And that's what I think the opportunity is.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, what are a couple of the ways that people can think about structuring being creative in that way, RJ?
Yeah, a few kind of AI driven ways. One is you can understand who your customers are. Marketers are so surprised to understand like the demographics of the people on their list, and then the demographics of the people who were clicking and then buying. Like we work with some women's brands, and they're like, "How are all these men on the list?" It's like, well, let's dig in. Who are the people? And we work with some customers who have they say, hey, we target a younger demographic, and they'll say actually email doesn't work for the younger demographic, and we spend all of our money on TikTok. That's not true. Actually, email is the number one way that Gen Z looks for promotions and deals. So they might be looking for a relationship and entertaining content and understand your brand on social, but then they end up looking for your ad like you would look for a circular, or like I might look for those at you at home. A circular is a
well, it's true. Yeah, it is like just something that would come in a piece of paper that you would look at and then take action because of it.
Yeah, but some of the demographic information overlap with engagement. Like that's an easy data pull through AI that you don't have to hire a data analyst to do it. You don't have to ask your IT person to pull the data and then run all the numbers and take a month. Like that's something you can ask in chat or Claude just to do real quick. And then use that information to say, all right, what should my next email content be? So 46% of your clicks, they come from the hero. That first 400 pixels, 46% of your clicks. So why aren't you just trying every different variation of button, of color, of style, of zoomed in, zoomed out shot? Like AI allows you to generate all those variants. You can test them. With Backstroke, you can predict. So that's what we do a lot with customers, but both on the data analyst side and then on the creative production side, that's where I think those are two easy ways to leverage AI literally right now.
Yeah, I love it. And then what size clients do you like working with? What's your sweet spot?
Yeah, we normally work with customers who have more than 100,000 subscribers on their list. So we can work with customers with smaller lists, but normally at that size, we see there's enough interest, content, and there's a person at the company who views email as a valuable channel, a valuable enough channel to devote time to an add-on like Backstroke.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, what's next for you guys? What are you working on that you're going to be releasing soon?
Well, we just launched a new product that we call Surge on Thursday, and Surge allows you to predict what content will work within an email, and it takes, no joke, 5 minutes to set up. So a lot of times in these AI implementations, it's like a full transformation with a lot of change management on it. With Surge, you can do it in 5 minutes. So we're really excited about that. We also have predictive product ordering now available. So you can, in an email, the first product, second product, third product that are featured for a customer, oftentimes those are arbitrarily decided, but actually you can say, hey, here are the 5 products we want to promote. Backstroke, predict which one should go first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And then we're just going to extend into predicting every different variant within an email.
That's awesome. I'm just thinking about how much data analytics you guys do and what those meetings must look like.
Oh yeah, well, for all, you can take comfort that I am not in them, or I'm just a silent observer asking the dumb questions.
Right.
Yeah, we have talented PhD data scientists that are digging in, and I do ask the questions. I say, hey, customers want this. Can we do this? Or how do we do that? That's my role in it. But on the data science side, we've got some folks who know the deal.
Yeah, well, I want to be on the list for the white paper when you guys do the end of the year. Like, here's what we found, because I think that would be fascinating based on like the scan of your whole customer base. So.
Yeah, cool. All right.
I love it. RJ, obviously people can find you at backstroke.com and RJ Taylor on LinkedIn. Any other ways you like to do some TikToks or something like that?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not on TikTok, but you can hit me the old-fashioned way, RJ at backstroke.com.
All right. Well, I really appreciate your time today. And thanks for sharing insights, and good luck with the Surge.
Hey, thanks.
All right. You have a good one. See you again.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Well, it's some great stuff. Email, still relevant, still valuable if you're able to produce content in the hero section that then will draw people down into some well-predicted products or offers for them. So it's a good reminder to take a look at your email program and see what you thought was happening and what actually is happening, and make some adjustments to that. I hope you found value in the episode today with RJ Talyor from Backstroke. I know I did. I think it's pretty inspiring to hear the stories about email still being functional. I also hope that you take some time today to continue to dig into your AI tools and find the leverage to win back some of your work week, a couple hours. And with that time that you continue to upskill, that you spend it with your friends and family, and that you get outside into nature away from the screens. This is Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.